Let's get across and check in. He is none other than Fred Leone. I met this fella in person a little while ago, probably about 2 months, feels probably 6 months ago now. We had a good chat and learned a little bit about Fred, his place in the music industry, but digging deep into his bio, he's far more than a musician. And he joins us live from, you're in the Kulin Nation somewhere, aren't you? Good morning, Fred.
Yeah, bro.
How are you, Braz?
Good morning. Yeah, good, bro. Good.
Thanks for joining us.
Good, cold. Murray too cold down here in Melbourne. Oh, look at that. Kulin Nation just freezing. Summer, eh? It's summer.
It's good. We've been educating our listeners, and we've got a few First Nations listeners, but knowing that you're from Murray country, which is Queensland.
Yep. All the western side of that Great Dividing Range is Murray country. And I'm Gurri too, like the other side of it on the east, along the coast.
Yeah, deadly, Russ.
I always say Murray.
Tell us who your mob is for the people that are really interested, and some people might not have even heard of you before or have heard it before, but give us a little breakdown of where your ties are.
Yeah, Butchulla mob. So Butchulla, we're from Garry. My family's from Garry, from Ngullumbara, up the very top. Ngullumbara just means forward of Fraser Island there. Garry, we call it Garry. But my fellows say Fraser Island, but they're changing it slowly. They're changing all the signage and everything.
Oh, yeah,
so that's good. Yeah, and that's on my grandmother's side. And my grandfather's side, we Garrwa up in the Gulf of Carpentaria, so just east of Borroloola, runs down into Queensland, northwest of sort of Dumaji. Yeah.
Oh wow! Someone's saying hello to you already on the chat. Good morning, Fred. I'm Courtney Harla's mum.
Oh yeah.
Sandra Angus. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, rings a bell. Thank you.
Courtney Harla, Hala. I'm Courtney Harla's mum.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Might be on my. So my last name, Leone, so I'm Tongan as well. I should acknowledge that side of my family too. Tongan and South Sea. So on the South Sea side, two old fellas married into the Butchulla side. Got brought across with the sugar industry, the indentured labour, slave labour, and they brought them across. Jack Gila and Gila, and
wow,
he married my great grandmother, actually, my great grandmother, and then married her, and then their daughter married an old fellow named Moses Tanner. So any Tanners, Gilas listening, or Dawsons or Peters, and my great grandfather on my mother's father's side, my grandfather's side, he had 7 wives, 52 kids. Mum's one of 100 and something, 101, 102 brothers and sisters, first cousin brothers and sisters that way.
I was going to ask,
the biggest mob.
How your so much about your family's rich history, and then you that explains it. You got such a big family, family. But your connection to culture and country is something really evident, and it almost leads a lot of your presence in the public space. People want to know all about your culture and all about. They don't want to know about like what. Can you build a house? Can you make what do you do for work? They're like, man, tell us your culture, because it's just really special. And a lot of the places that you have in people's songs is singing in your language. Tell us a little bit about where you start. Did you have it from birth?
Yeah, when I was little, my older brothers, when I was on late 80s, they started Mununjali Yugambeard dances, but they used to dance with their older cousins. So the Punch Pastor Don Brady, who led all the civil rights marches in the 50s, 60s and 70s down in Brisbane. He was a Kukuyalanji man, Kawanji, but he married my mother's first cousin, the eldest cousin, and she was my grandmother's favourite. So my grandmother named my mother after her favourite niece, Said, come here, daughter, I'm naming my little daughter after you, like that. So then, so she married old Pastor Don Brady, and then their sons had a dance group in the 60s, 70s, 80s called Imbala. So a lot of the fellas that from southeast Queensland that are all old fellas now, they all dance with Imbala. Yeah. So I grew up around all the time.
So you grew up with it. What a
I
blessing.
learned, yeah.
What a blessing.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good just hearing all the stories too. Like I used to sit around. Mum used to play cards, so I'd sit around the card table listening to all the old girls talking about. I tripped out because there was mob from like that would just grow up with Coronado, and then they'd all be sitting there playing cards. Oh yeah, I'm from Tanamine Desert way and this way and that way, and but they all got taken, and moved around, but they'd all be sitting there just talking about their country, like left, right, and centre, and I'd be making them a cup of tea for like 5 cents because that was, you get the biggest bag of lollies in the 80s, 83, 84 for 5 cents. Yeah.
What is this? Someone, I think I've got some Tongan friends online that they've written MALO space
Malo
e Lele.
Yeah, Malo Lele. Yeah, so bad.
Did I say that right? Malo e Lele.
Malo Lele. Yeah, Malo Lele. Like if you say it real quick, it's like Malo Lele.
What is she saying? What are you saying?
She's saying hello.
I love it.
So yeah. Fefe Haka is like, how you going? I think so bad.
I'm so impressed. I find it crazy when people have got like languages in their head. I just feel like you're an absolute genius. But you've been around.
I only got most of the naughty stuff.
I know swear words in Bosnian. It was on the basketball court. I needed them. I was playing against all these good Serbs and someone else's. Man, we've got heaps of people jumping on the chat. I'm sorry you can't see it, but Fred, I saw you at Yamanda on Tangarong country. You were deadly as. You're brilliant. And Carissa says, "Hey Fred, congrats on the announcement of you and your partner having twins."
Yeah, 20s.
Get out! Have you got kids already?
Yeah, I've got 4. This will be 5th and 6th.
You're busy, bros.
Yeah. I need to get a. You need to get a TV. No.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
It's when are they due?
July, 2nd of July. Meant to be 23rd, but because they're twins, they'll come early. So they said around 2nd of July.
Oh, congratulations, man. Family. You're keeping up the tradition of big family.
Biggest mob.
You got so many facets of your creative work. Tell us a little bit about what took you around the world. You've travelled a lot. You've travelled. You travelled over Scotland with a play. Tell us a little bit about that play, actually.
Yeah. I was hit up. I had a friend. She's from Scotland, actually. She was living in Brisbane. She can't get back into the country, actually. She's stuck over in Scotland.
Oh, really?
But she was from Scotland, yeah. And she did some artwork for. She's a photographer. She did something with National Theatre Scotland 5-6 years ago now for whenever the last Commonwealth Games was in Scotland, before it came to Gold Coast. And she mentioned to me she was involved with the National Theatre of Scotland, and they were looking to. She said, "I think you'd be interested in this. They want to work with somebody in Australia. They're not sure yet what they want to do, but she said, just from our conversations, I think you should pitch something to them." So I pitched this idea around. They had Gaelic speakers from the Outer Hebrides putting together a play, and so first I got in contact with them through my friend, and then we started having a conversation around what are some of the similarities, and they were talking about how young Gaelic speakers were forced to go into the cities for work from the Outer Hebrides Islands, and then they'd have to assimilate with the lingo, and so the lingo is dying out, but how they're having to really push to make sure that the languages thing. I was like, let's talk about that. How English is, sort of engulfed both of our cultures. So then I wrote the show, about called Gunyal Scar, and Gunyal means scar in Garrwa lingo, in my grandfather's lingo, and it was a Butchulla. I think it's in Butchulla. Yeah, it must be in Butchulla. But in and talking about the scar that remains, like, and the constant battle, like, and I saw the battle growing up, but I chose to go this way. There was this other way where culture's calling out, and the people that got it, and they're not necessarily even calling out, but they're just throwing little, throwing the line at you and seeing if you'll take the bait and sit there and have those yarns with them. But there's a choice, and in the start of the play, there's a young fella and he's got his big headphones on, listening to whatever music he's listening to. It's just symbolic. They weren't even plugged in anything. But he's there dancing around with, he's doing his contemporary like dance stuff. He's actually down at, I think he's got into NASDA, hey, the brother. What's his name now? I'll remember it in a minute. And deadly dancer. And so there's this mob, like my uncle and my brother are symbolizing, like, and in the background there's the creation story of Gari being spoken, and then it suddenly turns into the song and just whispered, and it's trying to get his attention, but he's not hearing it because he's stuck in the here and now, and not just thinking it'll be around forever. But I know even now, just recently when my mum passed, the stories and those people that are handing over those stories don't last. We can't last. We're not Google. We're not a dictionary. We're not an encyclopedia. They're not an encyclopedia you could just pick up. We're human beings. Everybody's human beings. So it was talking about that, and about that stripping away by mainstream, the dominant society of stripping away at our culture by labeling us and branding us, and pitting each other against each other. But just how the resilience of our culture, it's always there. It's just always there. It's not going anywhere. But it'll always remain. They can't kill us. They can't. Yeah.
How important was the Seedling Footprints program that you got involved with? Tell us a little bit about that. It looks like a really powerful program that you had the honour of being a part of.
Oh yeah, the JB Seed. So 2007, won a little competition, Speak Indigenous Hip Hop competition, and it was weird, bro, because I thought, I must have won a couple of grand. Yeah, deadly. Oh yeah, you're gonna record it. You can record whatever you want, EP, album. Oh, deadly, yeah. And 380 people had, Indigenous rappers, First Nations rappers from around the country had submitted the music, and I won this thing. Anyway, I'm talking to them there. I'm talking to Stacia. Found out the day that it was happening, actually, when I knew, they said on this date they're going to let the person who won know, let everybody know if they got it or not. I'm sitting there clicking refresh. It was when you had to keep refreshing your laptop at work, I'm like, click, 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 click. No new email. I walked off, and it was 5 o'clock, and I was there really sad. I was like, oh, well, 10 years now I've been rapping. It was 2007. I started in 97. I was like, nah, time to give up. And the stuff that I sent him was real political stuff. Anyway, I click refresh. Bang, congratulations. I thought I won a couple of grand. 25 grand later.
What? That's huge. Yeah. Got some of the what was it? Sydney Philharmonic Orchestra in there. On the recording had a band called Kid Confucius. Got half of their band. Yeah, I heard of him.
Jade McRae, the soul singer, her little brother was there playing drums when he was young. It was a full live album. EP, that was the first one we recorded. Then it got won a heap of awards, got nominated for a heap of awards and stuff. Yeah.
Super creative.
Never won a deadly. So when people say, you're deadly, I'm not deadly. I never won a deadly. I can't have the opportunity even winning one now. Like,
Man, you keep popping up in little features and stuff. It's so good. A lot of your music and your influence brings a lot of soul. I want to ask something semi kind of personal, but I noticed just in and really sorry, Braz, to hear about the passing of your mum. She seemed like she reached a lot of people over her life, and I know Emily Wurramara is connected with you too, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that loved your mum, and I'm just scrolling through your most recent post. She's absolute beautiful, big, larger than life smile. I think that's where you get half your charm from. She I saw on on the funeral notice that she there was a fair bit of stuff about Jesus Christ, and I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I want to know about a little bit about what and this could probably go on forever, this chat, but how do you marry up Christianity and culture, and have you had much success, or have you found it difficult to do they clash somewhere down the history line, or are they parallel? How do you experience it?
It was a rough one because I used to have big yarns with mum all the time, because there was stories like I grew up Catholic, but now I sort of don't practice. Like December, I went and I got initiated up with my grandfather's mob. But I noticed even then, and it spun me out, because I'd say to mum, "No, it's the same thing, mum, just different lingo." She'd, no, and she'd always no, you shouldn't be talking, because I learned a lot of stuff growing up, and it was weird. She would talk to me about old stuff with my grandfather, and then when she started going to church, she's like a born again ordained minister, actually. She was, and she was like, "Oh no, you can't, no, don't talk to me about that." And I was like, "Hey, you told me that story. No, I don't want to talk about that anymore."
Wow.
So that frustrated me, that part of it. But I noticed over the years, and then when I went up December, my old dad, my old Wooligan, he took me up for it, and he's one of the senior fellows for that ceremony, and he's born again, and I said, "Well, wait, we're talking, we're in the car, and I said, how does that work? How does that work? You're going to come up and take up your little ceremony, and you and we're having those yarns, and I said, Dad, how's this working? He goes, it's the same thing, different name, and I was just, oh, okay, yeah. And that's what I found a lot of old fellas would say to me over the years is, we just got, when it comes down to the core of it, it's be a good person, no swear and steal, and no doing bad stuff. I don't drink now. I don't, never really smoked yardy. When I was younger, maybe would hit it real hard, but not now. But since I went through, I was just like, I got to keep my head clear, because I've got a role to play. When I got to go up there every year with my family, and so
it's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's weird. It's a weird thing. But growing up when I was a kid, going to church and stuff, singing in choirs. That's where I got into music, I think. Singing in choirs. But mum sings. She had the maddest voice, and she could do this. What do you call it when you vibrato?
Oh yeah, really?
She always
untrained.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she'd always say, and that's where I get it from, I think, because I just listened to her sing and I'd copy her there. But she'd always say, Auntie so-and-so trying to sing like me, or, Auntie things there trying to sing like me, and this and that. And I was like,
She knew she was top dog.
yeah, when I was a kid. But it's interesting. I feel like it's, and I talked to one of my mates, my best friend, actually, his uncle. He just passed not long ago, a couple of years ago. He was a Catholic, leading Catholic theologian, John Thornhill, Father John Thornhill. And I'd sit there having big yarns with him when I was a kid, and he'd be like, yeah. We'd sit there back and forth, and I don't know. It's a hard one for me. I don't know. I just feel like
it really is. Yeah. Some of it clashes, and some of it doesn't, and it leaves it pretty open to, especially when you're dealing with even timelines. Christianity doesn't say things were 20,000 years ago or 60,000 years ago, where Aboriginal culture says 60,000 years ago, or there's a couple of extra zeros, and there's a clash. Sometimes if you haven't got that I guess that timeline, that timeline right. It's hard to place, find similarities. You're like, well, hang on, I think it happened, but not that long ago. And some like, nah, don't you tell me my culture's not old, you know. And I always find like, well, we better exit this convo. I've got to get out of here because there's a lot of history of some people acting under the Christian name, going through communities, and a lot of it's got to do with stolen gen and stuff. So it's a tricky one. I've got a question come through, and I want to squeeze it in before I rattle on too much and take too much air. Someone really is curious about how it was like to work with Steven Oliver.
Oh, he's a mad crack, that fella. Like, I met him years ago.
And he's full on.
He's deadly, man. He's just like, and you think, nah, he puts it on when the camera comes on. No, that's just him. That's just him all the time. Like, hey, what you doing? Straight away, as soon as you see him, I go, what's happening? Yeah, he's deadly. He's a real deadly fella. Yeah.
What did you work with him on?
He's Wani mob too. One of his mobs is Wani, and that's the next mob over from mine. Yeah. So I say, hey, countryman. I call him countryman. Hey, countryman. How you going?
Yeah, that's good. What did you work with him on?
Looky, here comes Cookie.
Oh, yeah.
The doco. So there was a song I put together. Oh, well, my cousin was asked to write a song, Birdz, and he was asked to write a song about young Butchulla warriors' first encounter with Captain Cook, because he come up the East Coast, see? And you know what? Anyway. He come up the East Coast, and he come past a place on Gari called Takiwuru, but they call it Indian Head. And the reason why it's called Indian Head is the day that he passed, our mob wrote a song about seeing this white crab coming up the coastline. And they go, no, go that way. There's a big reef there. They're all making a big fire and trying to warn this fella, go that way. So they wrote the song that day talking about thing, and they just passed it down from generation to generation, 200-something odd years ago. That same day, old mate's on his ship looking down like that. Oh, okay. And he says, there's Indians on the head there. I'll call that Indian Head. Looks like they're trying to warn us or something. And he writes it in his thing. Oh, they were. There's a reef just here. Then they turned out. And in our story, it says the white crab turned and went out and just buried itself in the sand on the ocean, see, in the song. And he's documented, the Indians on Indian Head, they were named Indian Head. It looks like they were trying to warn us of this reef. So we're turning out to the east. And they went out and around it. Yeah. But he took a double, like a club from one of the little islands, from Round Island, I think it's called.
Right.
And when they had the mainland native title, what do you call it? The thing handover. They don't really hand it over. Native title is like divide and conquer. It's literally ripping our communities apart. But they had the big thing for us, consent determination, and the thing. I was there singing because the mob said, you got to come up and sing. I said, yeah, all right. Me and Travi, the other songman there, and they handed back, we want to hand back, the government said, we want to hand back this club taken by Captain Cook from Round Island. And they pull it out, like, hey, it was a bronze one. I went, can't even, you don't. I turned around and I started swearing, and I looked at the file next to me. I didn't realise he was like a QC. But he was a Murray fella, black fella from up Mirragubba country. And McAvoy, his name's Stephen McAvoy, QC, I think he is. But I turned around and I go, fucking give us, I said, effing give us the original, eh? And I looked at him, and I didn't realise it was him. And my face thing, and he looked at me and he just started laughing. I went, oh, no. I said, gee whiz. Couldn't even give us the original. Anyway, a bronze casting, we got off it.
Right. Man, you got such a big catalogue of culture, of expression. You can go so many ways. You talked about hip hop, you sing, you produce. When someone asks you to be a part of something, what's your way of starting to kind of narrow it down to what you're going to do? Are you completely instinct? Do you wait? Do you just wait? Like, what if you've got a deadline? You got to come up with something. Like, what do you call on? Usually they'll have an idea in mind, and they'll say, "Oh, bro, I know you can do this."
What do you think? And they'll send me an email or give me a message or call me. I was like, oh yeah. And if I got the time, I'll do it. But yeah, it's just it's sort of, I don't know. It's weird. How I always say is like, remember that movie Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah.
And he got on the show and like he knew all the stuff because he lived it.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. And they didn't believe him. They thought he was cheap or whatever. And it's like that. And it's like, I'm a jack of all trades. And so like, I just taught myself heaps of different stuff because I was like, oh man, if you're going to survive, like I watched when I was 16, 17, all my mates started getting into speed and heroin. And I was like, oh man. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this? And, I was getting strangled by a copper and another copper came along and grabbed me away. He was a nice bloke. I think they were playing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Anyway, he took me around the corner. I was about 16, 17. And he said to me, this police officer said to me, yes, detective actually was, down in Sandgate. And he said, oh, look, he said, mate, you stick around here, you're going to end up dead, on heroin, in jail. He goes, you seem to be a good fellow. He goes, you're not, we understand you're not doing anything. We're dragging you in here and he goes, and I understand. He said, I understand, because I said to him, if I was doing anything, I'd be one of the 10, 20 empty beds in this house here, like warm beds with there's shoes on the ground. I'd be going with them, but I'm not. I'm here asleep. You're pinging me every time. And and so he said, just do what you got to do. Man, you could just get out, go and do something. Go do something that's not here. Because I was trying to go to school and I was looking after my dad, who's apparently schizophrenic. And and so dude, I just was like, oh, I got to do anything, everything. And I started doing voluntary work for Mission Australia, St. Vinny's, and it was hectic too because I was listening to a Kendrick Lamar song, and he's talking about he got his first job, and his mates are like, oh, trying to tee up an armed rob to come and rob his place of work, and I'm working at a Mission Australia shop, and I'm telling you, working at this thing. Oh yeah, where you working? Yeah, man. Okay, well, tee it up. We'll come in and we'll put the mask on. That you don't know. Have to. No, we'll just come in like this, and you give us a hand over the cash bar. Yeah, we'll split it with you. I literally, the day that happened, instead of just catching my bus, I could catch a bus straight to the place, right? Straight to Chermside Shopping Centre and walk up the road. I'd catch a bus down to Sandgate, catch a train to Northgate, catch a train to Northgate, and then catch a train to Northgate, then catch another one to Toombul, then from Toombul catch a bus back to Chermside, which was literally only 3 suburbs away.
Yeah.
But I'd go like 7 suburbs, 8 suburbs away to go to work every morning. And my volunteer job at just to make sure. And if I seen characters
coming to say
coming up the street, I'd be like, boom. I'd go, oh, can you cover the can? I'm going to the back. I'd go to the back to do some shopping.
Right.
And so like, it was
People don't know that this happens like quite often. Like especially when you get being brought up in community and you got such a big family, but a lot of your friends and family are no good. It's very hard, hard to their face to say that you don't want to be around them, but you just got to kind of say you're going for a walkabout for a bit or something. Hey, tell us about you got a gig coming up. This Feb in the Park series from the Butchulla crew. What can it's 2 p.m. It's a free one in Barclay Gardens, Richmond.
Yeah.
Man, 2 hours by yourself, bros. We get double set from you.
Yeah. Got to rock it out. I'll have a little break in between, but
what can we expect if for people that want to get along to the gig?
Oh, just bring a blanket and kick back. You probably fall asleep. I'll just be singing some deadly old songs. Doing a bit of like a contemporary version of some of them on guitar. But telling the stories behind all these old songs, like traditional songs. So
beautiful.
Some of them are creation stories, and yeah, just having a yarn and telling a bit about my life. And um,
Mm.
it's weird because when I was doing hip hop rapping, and people say, "Oh man, I really love how you just stop in between the songs every now and again and just start yarning about, you know, like things that you've seen growing up about, you know, in terms of like cultural stuff or whatever." I really enjoyed it, and then so it's weird now that I, you know, expended probably all my testosterone through my rap years, and I'm just sort of like getting old. I have 2 hip reconstructions a day, half a head of grey hair. I'm like, oh yeah, this is nice. I can kick back now and just sort of, you know.
I know what you mean.
In saying that,
it's quite funny. I got a DJ gig coming up on Friday, and I just look at myself doing my little poster of myself, putting my old 40-year-old head on this DJ, but like, what am I doing? Like, does this even fit? But like, whatever.
Yeah. But it's deadly, but like it keeps you young, hey?
Totally.
Like, because you're like the whole build up in your mind coming up to it. And what is it? Kinetic, like what do they call it when you go through things? Is it kinetically? No, what was it? I don't know. Kinesthetically, you're stepping through the set, you know, in your head.
That's right.
And in saying that, you know, we're getting on. Friday night, I'm playing with my cousin, their Birdz, and I'm his like hype man.
Oh, you kidding?
Yeah. So it's weird. Like I always say to him, "Oh, bro, you know, dial that energy level down, my brother," because like, you know, I'm getting old. I'm like, you know, I'll stretch up for like literally 20 minutes before the gig, and he's right. He's a bit younger, you know. He's just like, boom,
yeah.
Jumping around. But but when you get it, you know, I do that, step through it, you know, sort of song by song in my head, and then you comes to the time, and then it's just like, oh wait, there, no, I can do this. Bam, and then, you know.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah.
So you got a gig on Friday too?
Yeah, Friday at the Immigration Museum.
Oh, deadly.
With Birdz. There's a couple of tickets left. Maybe like there's 300, and it's close to sold out now. So there'll be like only a few left.
Unreal.
But we're doing that song there, Butchulla and Garrwa.
I'll play that as our outro song. Hey, bros, I've got to keep moving. It's almost 10 past 8. I always love chatting with you. The few times I have, feels like I'm sitting in your lounge room with you and your mob, you know.
And black fellas, and too, like when you got 2 fellas that click, we just end up talking. It's pretty deadly.
I sometimes forget what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah. What are you up to this week?
I've got a show to do.
I did that with that thing we did. It's like, I don't know how to wrap this up because I'm having a good yarn with this fella, you know. Like it's beautiful.
That's the power of what you do, bro. It's like you make everybody so comfortable that we're just like, yeah, man. I'm down the arm with Brother Troy. This is bad. So it's deadly, you know. It really helps when you're doing interviews and stuff too. Yeah.
Nah, it's beautiful, man. Hey, and all the best with your next few months with kind of reflection and healing, and I really appreciate you taking the time today. And
no worries, man.
Yeah, love you, man. You're a good man.
Thanks, bro. Love you too, bro.
I'm going to see you Saturday. I'll be there with bells on.
Yeah, deadly.
Looking forward to it. All right, bros. I'm going to play a track of yours on the way. Oh no, a track of you and Birdz. Unless you want me to play something of your own.
Birdz.
What do I got here?
That one's deadly.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
I've got. These are your songs. Age of Enlightenment.
Age of Enlightenment.
Is that you?
Nah, there's another Fred Leone, and he's a dance DJ from Europe. So people get me, people go, hey, look out. My manager, he said, you've been making music, because he quoted that one to me. He goes, Age of Enlightenment, ring a bell? I said, no. Have you ever done dance music? And I was like, no. He's like, oh, okay. And there's a Fred Leone.
I was a bit sus on it, because the picture didn't look anything like you would ever put up as artwork. It was some kind of digital artwork, looked like some trance house music. I'm like, I don't think.
Don't get me wrong, I'm into that stuff. But that's not me.
I'll play the one. I'll play one with you and Birdz. It's brilliant with the brother boy. And if anyone's looking for something to do on Friday, a couple of tickets going at the Immigration Museum to see Birdz Brilliant hip hop dude. We've played a fair bit of music of his here and featuring Fred Leone, but also a free gig, Barclay Gardens in Richmond this Saturday, 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. Up in Melbourne. Grab a picnic. That'll be beautiful, bros. I'll see you up there.
Yeah, see you there.
Thanks for your time, man.
Thanks for having me on the show.
You're more than welcome.